The scene opens with a white flower being painted crimson, with the blood of those already beheaded. Crows gather, lurking and waiting to feast upon the flesh as yet another man sits on death row, ready to be beheaded. The executioner prepares to strike, and the officials witness the macabre spectacle. Understanding the intricacies of human anatomy, the spectators know that it requires several strikes before a head can be fully separated from the body. One of the officials feels a surge of emotions and gets almost excited to see the end result, but his expectations shatter as the blade of the sword breaks. Gabimaru lifts his face and stares into oblivion with his hollow eyes, wondering why he can't die. He rephrases the question and wonders why he won't die, because he feels he doesn't deserve to live. Until now, he has eliminated so many people that he's lost count. He has no desire to live long. Gabimaru was born as a ninja in the village of Iwagakure. From an early age, he was trained only to eliminate. The training was rigorous, and many lost their lives in the process, but contrary to that, Gabimaru attained superhuman strength. He now stands tied up in front of a woman, complaining about the executioner being lousy. The woman is a watch person from the magistrate's office and is there to prepare a report on Gabimaru. He is soon subjected to a different form of punishment and is decreed to be burned. It is a very inhumane form of retribution as it causes excruciating pain. Sometimes the guilty is eliminated before they're burnt as a gesture of mercy. So the executioners try to stab Gabimaru with spears, but to their horror, the blades break and Gabimaru apologizes. The fire is set on the hay underneath and Gabimaru is quickly engulfed by fire. But the fire just burns his clothes and his body remains unscathed. He's back in his cell and the one takes his statement. Gabimaru delves into his past and says that his parents were eliminated by the village chief when he was a baby. He then describes his life as a shinobi without any dreams or ambitions. He did what he was told to do. When asked why he was captured, Gabimaru reveals he was trying to leave the village. During a mission, he was betrayed by a fellow ninja and was captured. It was probably the village chief's command because it is the law, no one is allowed to escape. Gabimaru is next subjected to bull execution, where either of his legs is tied to bulls who run in the opposite direction, tearing the body apart. As the bulls start running, Gabimaru flicks his feet inwards, and that is enough to bring the bulls back and even slam on each other before collapsing. The woman notices the flick and approaches Gabimaru. She asks him if he wants to die, then why he is resisting, referring to the flick. She then repeats her question from last night. Why was he trying to leave the village in the first place? Gabimaru explains he was the head assassin of Iwagakure and was to marry the chief's daughter. However, she was an innocent and naive girl who was sheltered her whole life. Because of her, his whole life changed. She would teach him basic manners, like removing his sandals before coming inside the house. She taught him to pray and say thank you for everything he received. Gabimaru couldn't understand her and soon got fed up. He went to the chief and told him the truth. In turn for permission to leave the village, the chief asked him to do one last mission, but he soon realized he was being set up and was soon captured, so he gave up and prepared himself for what awaited him. Later that evening, one of the officials warns the woman not to get too much involved as unbeknownst to her. Gabimaru's other name is Gabimaru the Hollow, because his emotions are hollow. He put 20 men to eternal sleep while he was being captured. He believes the rumors and tells her that the shinobi of Iwagakure take the elixir of life, making them immortal, and this could be the reason why it seems impossible to eliminate Gabimaru. He warns her to be careful, yet she is not convinced that Gabimaru is hollow, as a hollow man wouldn't have resisted this much. The next day boiling oil is poured over Gabimaru, and still it has no effect on him. He walks with a blank expression and tries to understand why he can't be eliminated and what is stopping him. The woman is done with her report and asks her senior to proceed to the next step, as she claims to be ready. Gabimaru is then escorted by the guards led by the official through a tunnel. The official seems confident this time and laughs slyly as he knows what awaits Gabimaru. They soon reach a chamber with many guards and a watch person sitting in the middle. The official laughs and says that the woman is not just a watch person, but a beheading executioner, Gamada Asaman Sagiri. Gabimaru is surprised to find the woman he's been talking to is a female executioner. She comes from a family of master swordsmen and executioners, known for beheading the accused in one strike. Suddenly Gabimaru realizes Sagiri is really powerful as he gets a vision of getting decapitated by her. He breaks free from his restraints and tries to escape Sagiri's attacks. In those moments, he is fighting two battles, a battle with Sagiri to stay alive, and an internal battle where he's questioning if he really wants to be eliminated. Sagiri makes it easier for him to understand his dilemma and says he is hollow. But he is clinging to his life for one simple reason: he doesn't want to accept that he loves his wife. Hearing this from her mouth is enough to trigger Gabimaru, and he fights back using a sword he unsheathed in a split second without the guard noticing. Gabimaru remembers the time his wife had said he's not hollow, and he has a kind heart because he accepted as she was. She has a big scar on her right eye, which gave her constant rejection from different suitors. But Gabimaru was not like others and saw her beauty. Her father had burned her left side so she could give up on the life of a normal woman whose job was only to bear children. He also remembers after their conversation, she had leaned in and kissed him, taking him by surprise. He had turned red, and his wife claimed he couldn't be hollow because he felt the emotions after she kissed him. At present, Gabimaru shouts and asserts he is a heartless monster as he fights Sagiri. It is revealed he wanted to stop earning money by manslaughter after he got close to his wife, so he planned to leave the village along with her and went to the chief to ask for his permission. He had thought the chief would understand, but that was wishful thinking. The chief took his daughter away, and Gabimaru was captured. With the only person who loved him gone, he didn't have any reason to live. Gabimaru is about to attack again, but suddenly, Sagiri holds out a letter that exonerates a person of any crime and promises the military leader's blessing. As long as one possesses it, neither the magistrate's office nor the village ninja can lay a finger on him. But there is one condition: Gabimaru will be required to go to the other world. Gabimaru is confused and asks if he will have to die for that. Sagiri explains that the other world, called the Shinsenkyo, is a land with no suffering and filled with abundance and joy. For these reasons, it is called paradise and the land of everlasting life. After a long time, it has been found, and it is also believed that one can find the elixir of immortality there. The nobles had sent a group of surveyors in search of the elixir, but no one returned alive, and only their remains came, which had partially become brightly colored flowers. So it is decided that criminals on death row will be sent to the island, and the one who brings back the elixir will be exonerated from his sins. Sagiri has come to find the right person for the job, someone who has the ability and the will to live. She reveals when she first came there, she heard Gabimaru's wife was still in the Iwagakure village. She has shut everyone out and is waiting for him to come back. Sagiri asks him once again if he is willing to live and fight the unknown to be pardoned and see his wife once again. A tear gives away his answer, but the official doesn't want him to live and gestures to his guards to be ready to attack him. But Gabimaru takes everybody by surprise with his ninja art and turns into a fire monk, eliminating all the guards in a blink of an eye. He asserts he is willing to take any risk and will come back alive only for her, his wife. When Sagiri was young, she remembered a storyteller had requested to be beheaded in the middle of the storytelling. As he was beheaded, he ended the story with a punchline, as if his head didn't know it had been severed from the body. Seeing how the sword made it possible to avoid unnecessary pain, Sagiri made her dad's sword her goal. Sagiri finally inherited the sword, and it was her first time decapitating a criminal. She hesitated a bit before she struck the man, and when she saw the sword, it made her see her fear. She hesitated, which weighed down the sword, making the sinner suffer. She wondered how she could do it without hesitation or fear like her father. She tied a cloth on Gabimaru's face and wondered if she could eliminate him without fear. Like him, several criminals are gathered on the shore. Their faces have been covered with cloth, and on the podium, the barbarian General Takugawa sits surrounded by the royal army. They announce that the sinners are tasked to bring the elixir of immortality from Shinsenkyo, and whoever succeeds will be pardoned. They then bring out the only soldier who returned from the island, but he is no longer a human. One of the officials asks the criminals to remove their cloth so they can see what they are getting themselves into. Upon seeing the man, an upheaval starts, and one decides to leave since it is a voluntary task. Just then, one of the executioners beheads the man, leaving, and the others are told they will be accompanied by the escorts from the Yamada clan, who will behead them the first chance they get if the accused try to do something fishy. Sagiri will accompany them as a watchman. The official then adds that the escorts are limited in number, so they will have to reduce the number, and by that, he means they'll eliminate each other, and the strongest among them who survive will go to the island. Soon a bloodbath occurs, and the executioners and the soldiers witness the criminals mercilessly eliminate each other. There are, however, a few criminals marked in red ink with extraordinary skills, and one of them is Gabimaru, who doesn't move at all, even when chaos ensues all around him. Sagiri looks at the scene with helplessness. Her mentor from the Yamada clan comes to warn her that it is going to be harsher once they reach the island. He sees the pressure she is feeling and says this job is not meant for her, which upsets Sagiri. She tells him that she had a choice, she would have lived in her palace, but the truth of their family and their identity will never leave her. She can't escape the reality of being a beheader, and so she decides to do something about it than sit back and accept it. Just then, 3 criminals attack her thinking they can overpower her. But she takes a step forward to show that she is capable. And as she is about to strike for a split second, she feels fear gripping her, but she brushes it off and beheads all 3. But she questions the fear she feels every time she wields her sword. As fear overtakes her, a voice makes it vanish. It is Gabimaru asking the authorities about their decision to eliminate people in such a gruesome manner. He says he prefers not to eliminate anybody, and that should be normal to accept. But the authorities wouldn't let him go that easily and asks a group of criminals to eliminate Gabimaru. Left with no choice, he eliminates most of the criminals with his bare hands. Once it is done, Sagiri looks at his reflection on her sword and sees him engulfed by the aura of those whose lives he has taken, and she realizes what she lacked all this while. She needed to be prepared to bear the fear and bear the lives of those she's eliminated. The authorities soon stop the carnage and finalize 10 criminals: the Bandit King, Asa Chobi, the Blade Dragon, Tamiya Gantetsusa, Hunter of the 100, Warped Kian, Nurugai of the Mountains, Killing Buddha, Orubo, Rogue Ninja, Gabimaru, Cannibal Kordsen, Akijinu, Yuzurita of Kishu, the Apostate Moromakia, the Giant of Bizen, Rokuroda. Each one will be accompanied by one of the disciples of the Yamada clan. They'd all soon board a ship and start sailing towards the island, engulfed by thick fog.